What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with the almighty Calligram. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thank you, RB, and thank you, Mateo, for being here today.
Thank you, Alex.
Right, man.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you guys here. Your new album, Position Momentum, is absolutely awesome. I cannot wait for the rest of the world to hear this. It's just an absolutely great representation of what metal can do. For people who haven't heard the album yet and just heard the two singles, is that a good representation of what this whole record is going to sound like, or is that just scratching the surface of what's to come?
I think it's just scratching the surface. We consciously tried not to give too much away or all of it away, considering we were going to release 3 singles before the full album comes out. We wanted to keep some of the gems to the full album.
Yeah. Would you like to add anything, Mateo?
No, yeah. I mean, the intensity definitely is there. So, in terms of intensity, that's what you're gonna expect. But there's also more interesting stuff coming up. So definitely wait for the whole thing to come out.
Is this like a continuation of The Eye is the First Circle, or is this meant to be kind of like a new beginning for Calligram?
No, it's not really a continuation. Actually, when we decided to write this album, we thought about writing a proper black metal album, and by that I mean not trying to be too artsy, because there's many black metal bands lately that they go into a sort of hipster direction, which I love. I mean, I'm a huge The 5M fan, so I'm all about hipster. But we really wanted to go like, in a way, properly brutal, and not really having a concept as it happened in the one before. So that is the main distinction. So in that sense, it's something else. It's not like a prosecution from the eye, but it's something new. So it's a new experiment.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at what you were saying. It's just because I went to art school, and I did not see much of a difference between art school and a black metal scene that I've been involved with too. So I totally know what you mean by that.
Okay.
And so and it's not a knock. I love black metal and every subgenre associated with it, but that was really hilarious to hear you mention that. I'm glad I'm not the only one who analyzed it that way. Yeah. Was there at all, was that sort of like a preconceived vision in a way, was this like a very experimental songwriting process, and there was almost kind of like just rolling with the punches and not thinking too hard on it?
With this one, it was a bit of a odd process really, because we started writing it coming out of lockdown and quarantine and COVID, all of that. We didn't do any writing during the pandemic, so it was like a mixture of relearning how to be social and how to jam together again, because we hadn't been able to do that for ages. So in that sense, we didn't really know which direction it would go, and so we just started to try a lot of different ideas. A lot of it got dropped, some of it came back, and it was it wasn't a sort of seamless process as perhaps the other stuff we've written before, where we just power through it, write everything without having to sort of polish it as much. Say we wanted to add some different things on there, but the writing process was quite intense, and so maybe even debilitating to all of us, because it was tricky to get to where the record is, and we a few points thought, okay, where is this even going? But as Matteo says, usually we don't have control. We don't have control of where the music is going or what it will become. So when we were ready to go to the studio, it was just what it became. We didn't really have full control of the process. We just had to write it, make sure we felt good when we played it, and then that was it.
Well, it's funny too because like Calligram like has elements of black metal in there, but there is some like hardcore elements in there as well. So it almost seems like it's really just a concoction of all the genres that say "fuck you," which that's my review of Calligram. It's a combination of all the "fuck yous." But has you mentioned too that you're not like trying to think too hard on the concept in a way with this, but has there ever been a time in a way? Because I feel like with a title like "The Eye is the First Circle" is a very thought-provoking title, and even "Position Momentum" I think is a good thought-provoking title because you want to take the position of momentum and moving forward in a way because position without momentum is sounds like a really terrible position to take. So has Calligram ever really approached things from a conceptual standpoint where maybe like a lyrical idea could help influence the music, whether it will be for an album or a
Yeah,
song?
let's say that we thought at the beginning we're not gonna write anything, any concept. We're just gonna go full on straight into your face, just pure brutal black metal. But then, and I think that's kind of normal when you write something in a short period of time, you end up writing about the same thing. There's like a common thread through everything you write, and that happened with the lyrics. After I wrote the lyrics, it was sort of obvious that they were all roaming around the idea of chaos, the idea of darkness. So we ended up doing a concept album without wanting, without being intentionally wanting to write a concept album. And so yeah, I guess the concept comes out after as a you just notice that there is this common thread throughout all the lyrics that makes sense in a way. And Position Momentum was a title that would actually embrace the whole album because it's basically about chaos, and it's a paradox. And this album and our music is a paradox in a way. It's very chaotic, but at the same time melodic, and I just said it's a fuck you. So it's a fuck you to the listener, but at the same time engaging to the listener. So it's a bit of a paradox, and the title embraced that concept in quite well. So we thought it would fit nicely.
Yeah, that's a great marketing terms. Like we want something that's gonna say "fuck you" to you. Like that's a great ad campaign. but
Yeah,
but
but
the
to be
way
honest, this is what I like about black metal. Like the first wave of black metal was like scaring audience away. They didn't really want people to listen to them, and that was amazing in a way. Like you try to scare people away, and those are the people that want to listen to you, that buy your album, but you scare them away, and that sort of paradox is what makes black metal interesting, and this is what we are carrying into our music,
um
like scaring people at the same time, but giving them something to enjoy if
of
they
course.
can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Has this always been the vision from day one when we listened to the Demimonde and Ascasis EP, which I have almost called the first EP Demonoid and the second EP Arkansas. So, but but
Nice.
was that always the intention since the first EPs?
Yeah, we've always been just drawn to playing fast and playing something brutal with a lot of intensity. Um, I personally struggle to play anything quite light on the drums. I always want to hit it as hard as I can, which results in me having to buy cymbals every 4 months. But you know, we whenever we get together to write, we've we've learned to give space for you to think through like atmospheric bits more. That's those are the bits that started to come through our music more and more as a progression from when we started. the DNA of the intensity, the blast beats, the D beats is there from the start, and every time we talk about writing new things, we know that these elements aren't going away. That's how we would like to keep it. As much as we all listen to all sorts of music and enjoy, either more brutal or more arty stuff, we this is how we like our music to sound, with intensity and brutality. So those, even though we managed to bring more atmosphere into the music, you can expect that any moment you're gonna be hit in the face again by something really fast or brutal, even though you're hearing something beautiful.
When it comes to like the emotional and aggressive elements that are channeled into Calligram, is because a band consists of 4 to 5 members of individuals. We all have our different experiences, our different emotions, our different interpretations. So when it comes to writing the music together, do both of you need to be in the same emotional headspace when writing the music together, or could all of you maybe being in your own worlds and your own minds maybe actually help enhance and add maybe like contrast and more experimental qualities to the music?
I think it's more interesting if everyone is on his own word, and because if you put 5 people, 5 different people in the same room, what you get is something more than just the sum of those 5 people. You get something more, and that something more is what defines the band, basically. Um, so and also we all sorts of know what kind of music we want to do, what kind of vibe we want to channel. So that comes almost like natural. No matter where you're feeling, no matter the state of mind you are when we are writing, we all end up kind of channeling the same emotion, like getting the same vibe in a way.
Mm. And
That's
Yeah.
probably was the most important thing about being in a band, because it really can change you without changing you. Like you can feel whatever feeling in life. You may have a shit day, or you can be the happiest person ever. But once you get into the rehearsal room with the other mates, you become something different. Everyone does at the same time. So same and different, and that's quite sick.
Um, and it's funny that you mentioned that too, because when I would ask a band, I don't really ask them that anymore. But when I ask like how the making of an album was, and like they say, oh, we all collectively game together, and it was all a mutual understanding. I'm like, I think that's bullshit. Okay, you're in a band with 5 people, you're writing a dozen or so songs. There's gonna be disagreement. There's gonna be some different opinions, and you're writing this over a course of time, and you're all gonna have different experiences that give you different emotions. So I don't think there really is such a thing as a mutual songwriting process. Oh,
It's compromise,
Yeah,
isn't it? A lot of it's compromise.
yeah,
I'll play the slow bit if you let me play the fast bit in a few seconds.
yep, of course. Um, when it comes to the writing process, though, is it better when you all are in the company of each other, or isolation being such a great fuel for creativity? It's easier to come up with ideas when you're more alone and there's nothing between you and your instrument and nothing between you and your pen and paper to write music.
Um, so basically, the ideas come from one place initially. One of the guitarists will write a riff, and and then we start adding layers to that based on the vibe that we're getting, right? If usually me and one of the other guitarists are sort of jamming and seeing where things go. So it really depends. For example, for Tim, his process is isolation. He needs to be in his home and really get into it and work out exactly what notes are going where, because that's his process. And for Bruno, he's more of a jam type of guy, so he would just want to get in the room and try a few ideas out and see how it goes. And I kind of go in between those things until the bass comes in and we need to lock to make the two guitarists kind of gel together. So I guess it's different for everyone, but
When
ultimately it's getting in the room and getting uh, in that debate and that discussion and seeing which way the song needs to go together.
I want you both to answer this next question, but how do you know when you're finished with a song?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's a very tricky one. We never basically we know we're finished with the song when we need to go to the studio. Basically, because up until the day we go to the studio, we're still thinking, I think this bit could be played this way. I'm thinking about a few things I want to change. So it's really kind of just coming to terms that you're going to the studio next week and there's no changing that. We put that on ourselves. We don't write the album and then book the studio. The studio is booked for after a year or a year and something. So we need to do it by then, and that's how we will know it's finished. If we don't do that, I don't know. I seriously don't know how to answer that question. When we would be fully satisfied with the song.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good
Yeah, we
answer.
work
What do you got,
we
Mateo?
work well with deadline. We need deadlines to create music, but at the same time, I think that somehow when you get a feeling when the song when you're getting there, let's see, when you're getting around along the lines of a finished song, you just know. I think because about polishing, we can do polishing for 4 months on a single song or even on a single riff. We can add a layer or take it out and then do it more different, slower, faster. We can add layers and polishing forever. But when it's about the sound, the structure, and the feeling, you just know it. I guess it's the sound that tells you, okay, that's that's the place where I'm supposed to be, and you just need to be a good listener, and that's part of you know um, a growing process of a musician, knowing when your music is doesn't need any more polishing or any other layers or anything else. That's part of a process of growing up as a person, as a musician, knowing exactly how to listen to music and how to say, okay, that's it. That's about it. But I can't really tell you how that happens. It just happens probably.
Okay. Well, your music is very organic in a way, so I could tell that this happens in a very that the songwriting process is just as organic as the song itself. So I think you definitely have a formula that works for you. And this led me perfectly into the final question, actually, because when you say that you want to go full force into that aggressive element, you definitely succeed in that. You definitely hit the nail on the head with its aggressive and energetic tendencies. But you're working on a song sometimes for days or weeks or months even on end. So when you're working on something or trying to fix something for a long period of time, does that maybe make it a little bit more difficult to maintain or capture that aggressive energy that you're trying to demonstrate?
I think that's exactly where we try to go. Really, it's if something feels off in a song and you go, why is it? Is it not like, is the riff not evil enough? Is does it feel like it's either too nice over here, or do we need to make it more somber? Do we need to make it more? You know, I think um, this is where we end up trying to get to this point. Like it needs to be the whole thing needs to be a Calligram, and we'll be like this if this bit doesn't sound as intense or as dark and somber as everything else, then we need to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. And you answered that perfectly, and I think the fact that you have the ability to sort of like pull back, because like the organized chaos thing, some people don't want to go back and revisit it out of fear that it might erase that moment. But it almost seems like you have organized chaos and you have control over that chaos as well.
Yeah, we record basically we record just phone demos as we play live, and then we map the song that way to take it to the studio so it has the same energy as when we play. You know, we don't look for example, maintaining the BPMs throughout the whole song, that sort of thing. What's important to us is to keep the energy, keep the live aspect. So when you listen to the record and when you come see the band live, it's the same thing. That's the main goal, and I think working with Russ on this record has achieved that. Hopefully.
Most certainly. So before we go, I want to thank you both so much for your time today and for such an awesome conversation. Just with the release of Position Momentum, is there anything else that you would like to promote in terms of live shows or maybe a tour through the U.S. one day, please?
That'd be great. That'd be good. Soon, hopefully soon, but you never really know.
Yeah, we don't have anything solid yet to go to the US yet, but it has definitely been on our minds. Um, Perhaps something for 2024. This year we'll be doing UK and Europe, and as it's still kind of not totally smooth here with touring, there was a lot of backlog from COVID. A lot of bands released albums and went on tours straight after the pandemic sort of opened up. So that got a little bit saturated, and we're still sort of dealing with some of that, you know. And there's Brexit as well. It's kind of difficult to go to Europe at the moment, but there's plans to go everywhere we can, really. So hopefully next year we'll be firming plans to go to the US.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, everybody. We are here with Calligram. Be sure to check out Position Momentum. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.